Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we are looking at the DC Collectibles Thrasher Suit Batman. Now this figure is one that came out a little while ago. I had it in my pile of loot at Big Bad Toy Store, and I was pretty excited for it. You guys know I'm a big Batman fan, but I don't generally collect the DC Collectibles stuff. I thought this one would be okay to make an exception for, since it doesn't really have to be necessarily in scale with the other figures that I have and that kind of thing. So I figured, what the heck, I'll get this figure. A lot of people said it was really good, so I took a gamble. I think he was like right around $35, and he's a big figure, heavy figure. He stands about 9.5 inches tall at the top of the ears when the helmet is on. So for the price, I think it's probably a fair deal. Not too disappointed with it in that sense. I am a little disappointed, however, in the people that told me that it was a really good figure, because it's really not, unless you just want a figure that's going to stand there basically straight up and down despite having a lot of articulation. And let me explain, and I will explain by going through the review. So first off, let's talk about the paint. The paint is fine. It looks like it's supposed to. He's got a couple different shades of silver, the black and then the yellow, and then the red. The red could be a little bit better up there, but it's not bad. It's okay, it just needs to be a little bit thicker, I think. But the silvers all look okay, and the black wash and dry brushing on there looks fine, so no complaints really as far as the paint goes. The the Bruce Wayne face inside, I don't know if he's supposed to have like a really gaunt, dark around the eyes type of look, but he does. So if he's supposed to have that, then fine. If he's not, then that's not so great. His eyebrow is missing paint on it, but the rest of it, technically the paintwork is fine. But like I said, if he's not supposed to have that dark ring around his eyes, then it's a little bit off. The sculpt, again, that depends on if it's supposed to look like that. I've never seen this particular version of Bruce Wayne before, so if it's accurate, fine. If it's not, then it's not. Technically, though, the sculpt work is fine, so that's cool. Articulation-wise, the head, it feels like it's on a ball peg, but it's really, really stiff. I'm a little bit afraid to move it because the DCC figures are known to break easily, but it feels like it'll move around enough to pose the head. The neck does not appear to be articulated, so that's okay. One thing I'm disappointed about is the way the helmet connects. It just kind of pressure fits on this back part right there, and it barely pressure fits. There's like no real snap or anything, and because of that, you can't turn the head. You get a gap in there, and it's not connected anymore. That's a really poor design. You should definitely be able to turn the head on the figure. So that's going to limit your posing options significantly. As far as the shoulders go, they look like they would be more limited than they are, but they actually work fairly well. You can bring the arms up almost completely parallel to the ground, so that's fine. And then you do have the swivel in there. So the shoulders work just fine. We have a bicep swivel hidden underneath that bicep armor plate right there, like that, and then we get the joint for the elbow, which so far we're fine. There's no real problems with the articulation yet. Now the problem I have with the arm articulation is that this piece is a fixed piece. You cannot rotate the forearm at all, but you can rotate the wrist. However, because of this sculpted armor up here, rotating the wrist is basically impossible unless you use this hinge to fold the hand all the way down, which is going to really be pointless, so why bother doing that? Probably the coolest thing about this guy is the articulated fingers. You can see here each finger is fully articulated. Every joint in the finger has a hinge, so that's awesome. It's unfortunate though that you'll never really get to use those for much because of the way the forearm has no swivel and this piece gets in the way. Cool design, poor execution for the figure since it really limits what you're going to be able to do with the hands. For the torso, I believe we have a double ball peg in here, but it is really, really stiff. And like I said a minute ago, I don't really want to force anything, but it feels like a double ball peg. It does not want to swivel. I assume it's supposed to. Again, I'm not going to risk breaking it, so I'm not going to do any more with that. We do have a waist twist down here. Again, it's really stiff, and I don't think it's just from bumping up against anything, so I'm not sure what the situation is with that. Maybe it's only meant to go that far. In either way, it's very limiting. Now we have the hips, which is kind of an odd design. It's kind of an old design. We have basically a ball hinge without the hinge. So we have a peg that goes in at an angle right here, and then we have the hinge right here for the legs, which has paint coming off of it like crazy, but that's all we get for the hips. So you can rotate around. It's like a Y-jointed hip, but there's no no thigh swivel until we get down here, which puts the joint at a really strange angle, and it's just not practical for moving the hips in any good way. So you're going to end up with the hips going straight up and down. Having the thigh swivel this low is not effective, and having it this low and at an angle, as you can see it goes this way, really not effective. It's not good. The knee design is kind of cool because it's somewhat hidden in the sculpt here. We have a double jointed knee with the top joint being, let's see if I can do this on camera, with the top joint being behind this, and then the other joint being down here. Unfortunately, as you can see, this piece of armor gonna be completely in the way of the one joint. So it's essentially just a single jointed knee. I don't really understand why they would do that. And they could have hidden it by making the disc part of the joint part of the sculpt rather than not doing that. That's a minor thing, obviously, but it's something that could have worked. It could have been cool, I think, at least for part of the way. I don't know how it would have worked up here, but that joint shouldn't be there anyway, so, well, you know, we have to plan these things out. So then we also have a shin swivel, which you guys know I'm not a fan of, but it doesn't really help this figure at all. It's just going to be loose and in the way. It's probably the loosest joint on the entire figure, so that's problematic. And then for the ankles, almost no posability. You get a little bit, but it's not too much. I think it's just on a ball peg because you can move it in pretty much any direction, but just a tiny little bit. No cat. No cat. So it's just really, really incredibly limited articulation despite having a fair amount of articulation. I'm not sure why everybody thought it was awesome other than it's basically a Hulkbuster Batman. So it's a cool concept, but the figure was not executed very well at all. For the price, it's fine. I'm not really disappointed at that. Just disappointed that everybody that I talked to told me how good it was, when I don't think that was a fair assessment of the figure. So stick around here at the end so I can show you some photos of the guy, try to pose him up a little bit and see what he looks like, and make sure you check out Big Bad Toy Store using the link in the description. That's where I got this guy, and it's where I get most of my figures. I'm really happy with their service, and I think you guys will be too. So thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can see my upcoming figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting. No.